everyone, I couldn't come up with a clever or witty intro for this blaster, even though I'm sure it's really easy to do. But today we're going to be checking out the Nerf Zombie Strike Doominator. So the Doominator is essentially a Flip Fury with 4 cylinders that is also pump action. There's nothing too important on the box. It shows you how to load and, that it flips the cylinders around and that you pump action it and all that good stuff. You have the guy kind of drawn out over here. You also have your little zombie strike explanation of the blaster and the whole zombie strike theme, whatever. But yeah, let's crack open this box and see what all we get on the inside. Inside the box, you will find the Doominator blaster itself, 2 cylinders that need to be attached to the Doominator, the pump grip, 24 zombie strike darts, and an instruction sheet. Once you get the Doominator outside the box, you have to attach the cylinders, and it's pretty simple. Each cylinder has these little attachment points on it that correspond with one side of the shell right here. So it's really simple. You just line it up, and then you slide it in. Give it a little extra pressure just in case. And there you go. You'll hear a click. Once you have the cylinders in their places, use this trigger to make sure that it rotates freely and without trouble. Once you've made sure that your cylinders are in place properly, you can take your pump action grip and choose between 3 different areas to put it. I'm gonna do the normal thing and put it on the bottom. So you just rotate it in, and when it gets tight, you're done. The Doominator itself is a clunky looking blaster. Lots of blocky edges that stick out. It's pretty wide, and it overall is just very, very blocky. On the back behind the grip, you have this weird short stock that I don't really... Is it a stock? I don't know, but anyways, it looks like a stock, though I doubt anyone's going to be firing the Doominator like this because this is just weird. I think this is mostly for aesthetic purposes, but maybe if you have a really small child, it could work. I don't know. I just think it's probably just there for decoration. It does get in the way of my hands, so I'm guessing that adult hands are going to be a little bit cramped up in the back here, but the grip itself is nicely sized. I still have a little bit of extra room underneath my pinky, and it is quite comfortable. But this area back here is rubbing up against the back of my hand, and it's just I would say cut this off. Just cut this off, and you'll have a much more comfortable blaster. Underneath the trigger, you have this kind of brass knuckle duster thing where you're supposed to put your fingers, and when you pull on the trigger, it rotates the cylinders so you can quickly change between them. So fire, 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 rotate, fire, 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 and you can just continue on going. It is really weird to put your fingers in there if you're not used to doing something like that. It just feels so weird. Like, I'm not used to having this weird claw grip on it. With my pinky just kind of all by itself. Very weird. Some people will find this comfortable. I do not. It feels kind of gross. In the middle of the blaster, you have the 4 cylinders that hold your darts. Each of them holds 6 darts, and they rotate freely around on every little knuckle duster trigger pull. They also spin very easily for super simple loading, even though there's 4 of them, so it will take a while to load all of them up. On the top of the Doominator, you have 1 tactical rail for nerfing accessories, and this blaster does have slam fire. Now, there is one problem with the design of this, and that is this little pump grip right here. For bigger hands, you are going to be running in to this part right there, but luckily, Nerf has given you 2 other spaces to choose from, so I'm going to put this on the left side. And this is really nice, especially if you want to be firing it from the hip. This just makes it much more ergonomic for those who are just going to be kind of spamming it off without actually aiming it or anything. So that's very nice. That's a great feature. So yeah, bigger hands, you're probably going to want to put it to the side. With all the features and how it works out of the way, let's go outside and put it through the chronograph and do a firing test. So the Doominator's performance is really bad. Compared to other blasters that have come out, this is just terrible. It barely hits 35 feet, like lands right on the mark for 35 feet, which is something you would not expect out of a blaster this big. I think the big problem with it is probably the seal between the cylinders and the plunger tube. I could be wrong about that, but there has to be something going on with it to make it this bad. This just should not be happening. Now there's one thing about the Doominator that really kind of destroys its handling and its performance other than the terrible range, but that has to do with the cylinders being able to rotate freely without having this little clutch to click it into certain positions. What happens is sometimes when you rotate the cylinders around, it doesn't lock into place with the mechanism that actually rotates the cylinder, so it's in this weird kind of limbo. Sometimes it clicks into place immediately, but other times, especially if you're trying to fire it quickly, it just messes up, and it's really annoying. You have to kind of bang it into place or rotate it around, and even when you try and rotate this sometimes, you have to do a full pull on this and give it a little bit of time to set up. If you try and do it too quickly, it will do that, which is really, really annoying. So what is my final verdict for the Nerf Zombie Strike Doominator? It's bad. The performance is terrible. There are just some things about it that don't work, like the cylinders not lining up, having to pull this at a certain rate so that it actually sticks into place without it going halfway and then you crunching this around to try and get it to work. It's just a bad time. For a blaster that has a very cool feature, like the idea of having these multiple cylinders and being able to flip them around, it's a lot of fun doing that. It just doesn't work overall. It's just not a good blaster, and I don't think it's worth your time, especially at the $40 mark. This blaster just isn't worth the cost. I would say to wait until at least Nerf fixes issues with it, or it's on the clearance rack. Yeah, you're just not getting a very good blaster for that amount of money. You might as well just go buy a Rapid Strike or something like that. Heck, go buy some Brutes for much less. It is a disappointing blaster with a cool concept to it, and yeah, poor Doominator. If you do want to buy it for some reason, I'll have a link in the description to its Amazon page. But yeah, I would say to skip this and buy something different. So that is my review of the Nerf Zombie Strike Doominator, the big blaster that couldn't. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, have a great day wherever you are.